Hey there, fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Sue, and you've just stepped into Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Every week, I'll introduce you to a friend of mine, a remarkable entrepreneur who's not just changing the world, but also harnessing a secret weapon, time outdoors. Together, we'll dive into their journey, unpack invaluable business advice, and discover why embracing the wild is not just good for the soul, but also a goldmine for inspiration and innovation. Ready to uncover the secret that's boosting bottom lines and fueling joy? Hit subscribe and join us in the wild. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot wait to introduce you to my friend, Minnie Gupta. She's spent over 20 years in marketing, advertising, and operations in various corporations and startups around the country. She's also spent the last 14 years in healthcare and is the founder of Winningly Media, where she helps entrepreneur businesses become visible in their communities using very specific types of social media campaigns. She also uses a connect the dots approach, which I love, to marketing, knowing that most entrepreneurs have a lot of things going on. They've got a lot of experience and more than they know, but they aren't sure how to get that across in their messaging to grow their businesses. I can feel for that. I know you all can too. This is going to be fantastic. Get ready because you're going to learn a lot of things. Minnie has a fantastic offer for you as well. So just for being a listener of Entrepreneurs Gone Wild. Minnie, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Entrepreneurs Gone Wild.
Thank you, Sue. I'm so excited to see where this conversation goes.
I know, it's going to be wild, lady.
Just like your title.
Right, exactly. We're going wild. We're going wild. So why don't we start by, I would love for you to just talk a little bit more about who you serve and the problems that you solve for them.
Okay. So I think like a lot of people that are out there, a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners, they start out with one thing and then they iterate. And I found that iterating, I would say at one point, was what I was doing the most. And finally, when you do that enough, and as you had mentioned, I talk about the connect the dots approach because I really feel like people shouldn't feel that once they have an idea and once they're doing something in their business that they have to stick with that. Because ideas come. The more people you talk to, the more you figure out what people need and you find out how you can serve them better. That all like just comes together in a way where suddenly you have an aha moment and you're like, this is it. This is what people really need, that's not out there. And I truly am a huge believer in that. At the same time, I also understand, as you and I were talking earlier, Sue, that there's that component of focus that we need to all have.
Putting it mildly.
Yeah, because if you iterate and iterate constantly, then you're never truly focused on really growing the business. So I really have found over time where initially what I was doing was helping people with developing their paid advertising plan and building out their funnels to bring in their leads. And I realized over time that there are a lot of people who are not even quite ready for that. They need to start out a few steps before that, really getting clear with their mindset, with who their ideal client is, what they're reining in what the real offer is that they want to put out there, and then figuring out how do we now get leads and convert those leads. So what I used to be specifically was more of an advertising agency, and now I'm more of a marketing agency where I can really help people like at all levels of that. I've been doing marketing for over 20 years, and I see that there's just a lot of need and a lot of nurturing before even getting to that paid advertising.
Oh yeah, definitely. And people could just rush right to, hey, take all the money and go spend. That is a great way to go bankrupt.
Yes.
Like you can easily way outspend what makes sense when you don't really have the clarity on these other things. You have to have them.
Absolutely. And
might as well hand over your arm, your leg, your kidney, everything if you're going to jump right to ads.
And ads definitely have their place when you're ready to really grow. Like when you're ready to leap to that next level and you want consistent clients and leads to come in, there is definitely that place for ads. But before you get to that, be really clear on what your offer is. And then I help with the whole like messaging and getting it out there in the best possible way to bring in leads.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I started out, my entrepreneurial journey took many decades. So I started out as a scientist. I actually got my doctorate in biochemistry first.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
because I thought that that's what I was going to do. I was going to be a scientist, and I actually loved that discovery process, and seeing a problem and figuring out what questions to ask and coming up with the hypothesis and then doing the research and finally finding the answer to those unanswered questions, which is always exciting. And
Yeah.
what I found is that I can apply that same way that I think into my marketing and
I
helping
love it.
people figure out, how to bring in their leads. And I realized after getting my PhD that I didn't really want to work at the bench. I wanted to do more. I wanted to interact more with people. I didn't just want to write papers and be at the bench all the time. So I went ahead and got my MBA in market research. And then I worked in various startups and different companies. And I've been doing that for about, 20 years, also in healthcare, working in operations and marketing and advertising in
My
healthcare
goodness.
and growing, a business from the ground up there. Not my business, but growing a business from the ground up. And at that point, I was in my 50s, and I'm an example of it's never too late to follow your passion.
Love
Do it. Just do it whenever you're ready to do it, because I was thinking about it for decades,
it. A lot of people do that.
Yes, but I love seeing now. I think there's this energy out there where people are just doing it. People aren't
Yeah.
sitting back and thinking it's too late. And I love seeing that. So I founded
do
my
too.
yeah, and I want to hear more about you too, Sue, like when you started, your business. But so I founded my marketing agency, and now I help small businesses and entrepreneurs with figuring out how they're going to get customers and then to bring those customers into them. So that's basically lead generation, leading
Yeah.
to sales opportunities.
That's fantastic. It's like you get to be the mad scientist of marketing, I
Dude,
love it.
that
This
should be
is
my
so
that should be
cool.
my tagline.
Totally. How do you not have that?
You know what? That's so good. You should be my branding agent,
love
Sue.
Okay, sure.
But
That's
yeah, I
that
kind
is
of,
so
you know
cool.
what? So true. Kind of like the mad scientist of marketing and the
Yeah.
connect the dots person.
Right. Right. Which is
So,
so good, because for entrepreneurs, it's like we get going and, like if we have no business experience, then everything just seems like very overwhelming. Where do I even start? Do I do this? Do I do that? I have no idea. And they need guidance, And then even those
Yeah.
that have some background, it can still be very overwhelming, because you're like, well, what do I focus on? What do I, what's the order of operations here? And
Exactly. And I think that it's
we need a voice of sanity. And you're it.
I mean, the thing is, I think everyone can do it, but it would take a lot of time and effort and money. And so that's why I really also support the idea of having a mentor to help you, because I have 3 mentors and along my journey here in the last few years. And until I actually got mentors to help pull it all in, because when you're in it by yourself, you are kind of on the struggle bus and you're trying to figure it all out on your own, and you're afraid, like, am I making a mistake? Is this what people want, etc. But then when you have someone to really help you as a partner, and that's how I work with my clients. I always consider myself as an extension of them and their business to help them. Like, don't think of me as someone you're hiring to do just a certain job, because I know with entrepreneurs, there's so many questions that come up. And that's part of the exciting, part of it is to help with all those other aspects as well.
That's so great. It's like you're I have so many little titles now, but the entrepreneur's best friend. It's like,
There we go.
because we have all these things between mindset and practical stuff, and what's what do I do first, and how do I do it, and all, and what's a fit for you. Like, you can hear about a great strategy of the week, and jump on that,
Yes.
jump on this, we get
Yes.
squirrely, and we need
Yes.
somebody who can kind of be that like sounding board, who's got the experience, who knows what works, what doesn't work for what types of businesses, all this kind of stuff, and talk us, off the ledge of
Yeah.
so.
And the other ledge, there's this AI ledge, right? There
Mm,
is the AI ledge that everyone is just teetering on, not sure if they're going to fall off. And
yeah.
that's the other thing that I have done for my clients is identify those bits of AI that can help them in their business without getting caught up in listening to every podcast about AI,
Oh
watching
gosh, yeah.
every YouTube video, because there are so many thousands of applications coming out and
Yes.
platforms right now that'll overwhelm you too.
For sure. I mean, it's kind of like we've been both around, I mean, basically 20 years each. So it's like when, Web 2.0 came out, when, this came out, it was like, everybody freaks out, and
Yes.
it can be very overwhelming, especially at the very start of this whole AI journey that we're on.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh, you
I
could lose your
know.
mind trying to keep up.
It does. It can be overwhelming,
Really
And
can.
so what I tell my clients is, you don't have to do everything and you don't have to worry that you're missing out on something.
Right.
Let's find the things that are actually going to help you. And I
So
have
good.
a handful of things that platforms that I really found have helped people and that have helped me. And those are the things that I focus on. And I keep track of how things are changing in those aspects. Because
Yeah.
as we start a new business, we do not have to have our toe in every bucket of AI.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we just need to find the things that are going to help us
A
and then
couple of
focus
them.
on those things.
For sure. Because I mean, I remember I used to get a newsletter that would announce like all the different new AI applications that were coming out and everything. And I was like, oh, so cool. I'm going to know all of them. And it was like 1,000 of them at once. I'm like, never mind.
I know. Before you even finish that newsletter, the next one's in your inbox.
It's already
You're
obsolete.
like, oh my gosh, I haven't even finished the other one.
It's true. It's true. Oh my gosh.
So
That's
it just makes you want to shut everything down. So the goal is like, when you're an entrepreneur, sometimes you go through those moments of like, I don't think I can do this. I'm just going to shut it down. I'm just going to like go out and find another job. But
right.
if you just stay focused and just find the people that can help you to get there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite sayings is failure only happens when you quit.
I like that.
Yeah. And
you don't quit, you don't fail.
you don't fail. And honestly, I believe that so much because you just keep going. You figure out the next answer. If something is not working, you figure out why. It's kind of my scientist brain, right?
Yeah.
When I was doing experiments, it was the same thing. Like if something didn't work, you wouldn't just give up, right? You would
like,
figure out what's next.
Right.
I know. I mean, there were a lot of scientific discoveries that would never have happened if people just gave up.
For sure. We'd be sitting in the dark.
Yes, that too.
No, that's an incredible thing. Every problem that we run into feels like it could be insurmountable. How can I've actually started referring to them as puzzles instead of problems, because that helps. I love puzzles. I'll sit and do a jigsaw. I mean, not right now, but theoretically,
not really, but
not really right now. But I mean, a jigsaw puzzle is way more fun than, I got to fix a problem,
Yes.
So
absolutely. And you know what? It's like connect the dots. It's a similar analogy where you have different pieces and each piece, as it fits together, the problem, the solution becomes more clear.
Yes.
And
then it's cool to see it. You're like, I think I see something.
I love that analogy. That's so good.
Yeah. Now I know that you came up with a great thing that you're now offering. Talk about that. What is your current the best offer that they're running that people are like, oh my gosh, this is the thing I need.
So, it kind of goes along with what I was saying, that I think when you talk about just doing ads and funnels and pretty standard lead generation, that a lot of people are doing that. And for me, I take a more of a hand-holding approach, because I know with entrepreneurs, it's not something where I can just send you a PDF and you follow the instructions. It's something that really requires, at some level, people want me to do the work for them because they don't want to have to learn yet another thing.
Sure. Yeah.
They should stay in their zone of genius. They should continue to grow their business. And I have my own zone of genius, and that's how I help. So I figured I figured out a couple of actually different things to offer my clients even before they get into the ads portion. And one of
Yeah.
them is what I call my lightning test.
Mhm.
And that is to help people understand the language that their clients are using so that when they ultimately use that language in their various marketing assets, not just for paid advertising, you can use it on your social posts, you can use it in your email nurturing and outreach. Even when you're talking to potential clients, you can use this language because it figures out what the language is that people really resonate with. So for example, an example I like to use is like a retirement counselor that may have been using the language like, when do you plan to retire? Are you ready to retire? Because they think obviously people would be thinking about that, right? But then when they do this test and figure it out, they find out that the language that people are actually using is, do I have enough money to retire?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
can I afford to retire? So if you're using just that little tweak of something, a little bit different, all of a sudden you're going to get more people that are seeing you and see you as someone who can help them. So
Cool.
it's just something that I like to call it the throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like typically you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that somebody's going to jump out and grab it, And this is just a way that it's not, you are going in with a much more valuable asset of messaging that you can use in all of your marketing assets. So that's one
great.
thing that I offered that I can literally do that in 3 days. Like it is
Nice.
not a long
That's amazing.
process.
It's so powerful to be able to use the actual language that your prospective customers and clients use, because then they think you're a genius.
Yes.
But you also get so much more insight. Like that is the perfect example, going, can I afford to retire? That is the thing that people actually are asking rather than, am I ready?
Right. And I think sometimes we think that we know the language that people are using. And it's that market research side of me too, that that knows that obviously I know what I'm doing and what I offer, but I can't pretend that I'm also my ideal client,
Right.
So it's to be able to speak in the language of your ideal client. It's different for everybody. And, you could have run that test and maybe the answer would have been the when do you plan to retire language might actually have popped up to be more, I guess, important to them than do I have enough money to retire? We just don't know. We think we know what it is, but until we actually,
don't know.
No, we don't know what our ideal clients are thinking, right? So this just helps against that throwing spaghetti at the wall approach. And it just helps you target so much better in all aspects of your marketing assets.
So smart. So smart. And then I know you have another thing too. It's really cool.
Yes, I do. So I have it's a curated quiz funnel. And again, this is something that you do not have to run ads to use, but it's a great lead generation and conversion option for people. So what it does is quizzes have been around for a long time. They've been around for years. People have used them in a very generic way to get information. And so you get the information, but a lot of times you have to mine through it. You don't know, you can look at specific people, but you're not sure as a whole how that is something you can implement. And so what this is, it's very curated and personalized to create leads and then to take those leads to paying customers. And typically the percentage of conversions from leads in the industry is 4%. So 1 out of 25 people ultimately will end up converting to sales. However, using this very personalized system, that number can actually jump to 40%. And 40% is 10. It's huge. It's like a game changer. So that's like 10 people out of 25%. And the way that it works is that you create a quiz very specific to what you're doing. Like if you were my client, I would create this quiz for you along with your input. We would put it in categories, the questions, and then you would send that out as a link to your email list. If you're doing ads, to your ads, you would maybe put that on your website. You would post it on social media, and then you start getting information back. And that information is, it puts it into charts and graphs and categories. So you can look at categories as people are responding to see what are these areas that they're really struggling with and what are they not so much struggling with. So it's a similar thing with a lightning test where maybe you're focusing on a category that really is not a problem. So, and then the client themselves, the customer who fills out the quiz, automatically receives a PDF that has their own personalized chart, graphs, and an answer to their questions, and then a curated category, multiple paragraphs of information that tells them, how they could improve in these areas. So it's really directed to that specific person.
That's amazing.
And then not only do they get that PDF, the other really cool thing, as if there had to be another cool thing, but it's they get a series of emails that's then personalized to their answers from the quiz.
That's so great.
So when they do that, all of a sudden, of course, you can imagine when they're booking a call with you, how much better that call is going to go. Because they think you hear them. They think you already know their problems. Yeah. And then when you're talking to them on the phone, you're focusing on those things that you need to focus on, right? Like that are hard for them. You can create an offer even before you're talking to them on the phone.
That's amazing. Because sometimes we're just guessing, right? We're just, if you're doing any sort of high ticket program or anything like that, it's like, people may be coming to you for a whole bunch of different reasons, related, but not quite on. And if you can speak exactly to the thing that is bothering that exact person.
Exactly.
Wow. That's huge. It's
so personalized. And that's why the conversion rate is, can be up to 40%.
That's amazing.
So, and you can imagine like that, you can put anywhere. Like I was mentioning the link, you can put that, you can create a QR code if you're speaking from stage.
Right.
And people can take it from the QR code. The audience can take it.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah, there's so many applications for that. So that is another really exciting thing. So these are some of the things that, AI can really help.
For sure.
2 years ago, this wasn't possible.
No, definitely. I mean, I remember quizzes came out. I remember when it might've been 2007. And I had a colleague who was like really amped up because he had a friend who was doing these quizzes. It was doing great, and I'm like, this is incredible. But back then I can't even imagine how much work it would have been. Like,
oh my gosh. Yes, for sure.
Building it, putting the words together, the output, the whole, oh my gosh.
Yeah. You have to have someone just mining the data and figuring out what all the information actually means. And it wasn't personalized. It wasn't personalized at all.
You couldn't. It was just, we had limitations on our capabilities for sure. So that is really, really cool. Man, I love that. All right. So you have come up with some incredible ideas over the, all these. I want to know, do you go outside to get these great ideas? Like, how do you outside?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love this, Sue, because, what you do, I feel like you are like Minnie 5.0, if I could be that person. Except I don't know about the 40 degrees in the house.
It's a little chilly.
Not sure I could do that. But I'd love to visit.
Yes, come on down. Bring your parka.
Yes. So I think that I have found in the last couple of years, I was never that much of an outdoors person. And I don't know if it was COVID or what it was that, forced a lot of us outside, because that's the only thing we could do was go out and take walks with our families. And I just found the peace and the clarity of thought that can come from being in nature. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, then I would find myself, when I'm on a walk, I have to listen to a podcast or I have to have my music on or something. And sometimes I just turn it all off and I walk looking at the trees, listening to the birds and the things around me, taking it all in. And then when you start thinking about a problem and ruminating over something that might be an issue in your business or in your life, whatever, it allows you to think clearly.
It does.
And so that's how in the last few years I have become much more of an outdoors person. We've been going to more national parks. Like last summer, we went to Grand Teton and to Yellowstone, and it was amazing, beautiful. I think that you have to be in that right mindset of seeing that beauty and what it all like can mean to us, and that we all need space for that in our lives.
For sure. Yeah. And I think you're so right. Your background in science, that wasn't going to be an outside thing.
Right.
I think as newer entrepreneurs, we probably were, I know for me, it was 17 years. I didn't go outside. I always joke, I'm like, I was trapped, but no, I trapped myself. I was like, I got to make them, I got a family to feed. I've got to do that. And we just, we get on the screens and, sitting down, I could sit for 8 hours, no problem, just keep working. And that's terrible for us.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
Oh, and then,
even the idea of, okay, my work involves me sitting at my desk a lot, but I have a little alarm on my phone that if I haven't gotten up in an hour and a half, the alarm goes off. Nice. And then I have to get up and do some movement.
Exactly. I say that's why God invented dogs.
Yeah.
They're going to let me know if I've been sitting here,
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll take you out. I'm outside too. How lovely.
I know. And it means that the few minutes that you're outside can just help you solve a problem that you couldn't solve for a while.
Yes. It's crazy how effective that is. And walking, it's like something goes on in the brain that now you're like, that forward motion. It's amazing. I would love to know all the science on it. I don't know that I would understand all of it, but it's like, I know it's sciencey.
It is sciencey. It's sciencey also in a way that I think mindset is sciencey. And, as is the other thing that I am obsessed with, which is manifestation.
Nice.
I meditate and do manifestation practice every day. Not every day.
Wonderful.
I try to do it every day. And it has made huge changes in my life. And
so great.
There is a lot of evidence and science-based evidence about manifesting and mindset and how the subconscious can really affect reality. If it wasn't science-based, and if it was just something that I had to believe, I think it would be hard for me because of my background.
Sure.
But definitely something that eventually I want to also talk to my clients about, because I feel like it's so powerful.
It is. And you see those studies of like talking to a petri dish full of water, of talk it mean, talk nice, and it does different. I'm like, this is amazing. The whole quantum, I love that kind of stuff. And I never would have gotten into it. That's been a recent development in the last, 10, 15 years where I'm like, whoa, this is so cool.
It is so cool. And I think, a great example of that is the placebo effect.
Yes, 100%.
Why is it that sometimes up to 60% of people that take the sugar pill that are
they get better?
They get better. It's because in their heads, they've convinced themselves they're taking the medication.
Exactly.
So the power of the mind to the rest of the body is incredible.
It really is. It's such a powerful thing. And yet it's so, all right, we're both totally sold on be outdoors. This is great. Your mind is doing it. Like, this is all great. I still find myself sometimes going, well, I'll go outside after and then fill in the blank. And the blank is really, 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 really long. Do you have that too? Like, how do you get yourself to prioritize that? That time outside?
I mean, I think I prioritize it by sometimes planning a walk with a friend, because once you have someone else involved, then you can't back out of it.
That's
right?
true.
You gotta go. And then the other thing is similar. I'll put it in my calendar, and I won't do it every single day. I won't say I'm going to go out, walking around my favorite lake that I like to walk around, because I know that realistically that's not going to happen. Yeah. But if I can get that in a couple times a week, I can make that happen.
That's so good. I love that. And then how do you capture ideas when you're outside? Because I don't know if it's young people as well. I don't remember having this problem when I was 20 or whatever, but I'll remember that. It's such a great idea. That is the biggest lie ever. I don't fall for it anymore because it doesn't work.
No, because then you get back to the car after your walk and you're like, I had a great idea. What was it? That's the worst too.
It is.
So I use notes all the time in my phone, and
Great.
I have my phone wherever I go. So I just open up my notes and I just
Yes.
like dictate right into that, like like one sentence. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
take long. I don't flush out ideas through it,
Right.
but I just put in a few of those keywords so I'll remember it.
That's so good because
And
yeah,
it's
we
just,
need that. Like, and even
yeah,
sometimes
I
that it's like
seriously,
reading your grocery list. Like, what? Like,
yeah, think of it as like a grocery list, except your grocery list of fantastic ideas.
I know, right? That's amazing. Oh, I love that so much. Oh man.
And
All
it's
right.
all like easy stuff, Sue. It's nothing that's
Yeah.
like so complicated, right? It's
Right.
like go on a
Exactly.
walk, write things down, dictate into your phone. It doesn't get any easier than dictate. I know there's tons of apps and
Definitely.
different things out there that
Yeah.
capture information. You don't need all of that. Just dictate
No,
into your notes section,
for sure. Just say,
And
something.
yeah, just put the few words that you'll remember. But of course, if you're like me, sometimes you look at your couple of words and you're like,
And you're like, what? You do the dog head.
what was that again? So it may take more than just a couple words, but yeah. And then, block time is so key.
Yeah.
If you block time during the day, as opposed to just kind of sitting down at like 9 a.m. and starting to work, you can go down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But if you know that I have an hour to focus on this task, and the next hour I'm going to focus on this other task, it just keeps you, it keeps you just following a schedule that's going to actually make a difference and help you move forward.
For sure. It's a funny thing. I always joke that entrepreneurs, we start because we're like, nobody's the boss of me. I'm the boss of me. Nobody got to tell me what to do. Okay, but could somebody please tell me exactly what to do and in exactly what order?
Yeah, just tell me, 1 hour, just sit down and tell me exactly. And then I'll take over.
Right.
And that goes back to the whole idea of mentors. I think
Yeah.
that a mentor is not meant to necessarily be with you the rest of your entrepreneurial journey,
Right.
but just help you, because in the beginning, as things are taking off and you're building it, that's when you really need someone to just be like, I think that's a great idea, but how about this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Just someone to bounce
For
ideas.
sure. For sure. That's huge. And I love that you're, like, this is how you show up. You are that voice of reason, of sanity, of, hey, I've been here, I've seen this, this is what I've seen work. That could work, but I've only seen that work about this percent. And
Yes.
It's wonderful thing to have. So how do people how to work with you?
So I have my contact information that I will send to you, Sue. And if you just want to post it there, I guess people can access it.
For sure.
Yeah. And I did want to say for your audience that I'm doing a special gift. Well, one, they can have an exploratory call with me, at no charge. But then if they do decide, like, for example, the survey I think is like so valuable as they're building out their offer and determining, actually just changing their leads, converting them to sales. The survey is going to be, if you're not ready for ads, that is a way to like move forward. And I'm throwing in the lightning test at no charge.
Wow, that's amazing. That is really, really, thank you. That's very generous.
Yeah,
That's really going to help.
They go
people.
really well together too. So
yeah, totally. That's like peanut butter and jelly. I love it.
Yeah.
Or baklava and pugs. Right?
That's another story, guys. That's a story for another time.
If you have a pug and you have baklava, don't put them anywhere near each other, right? And certainly not on the dining room table. Although pugs have a built-in Find My Pug feature. So
yes, we had an interesting conversation before the podcast started about my dog and her love of baklava. So
I can't blame her. Baklava is delicious. Right?
Oh my gosh, too funny.
Thank you so much for being our guest. This is, I love, it's really extra special when I get to interview a friend, and
Thank you so much. It was so much fun. I love what you're doing. I follow you and I see all the amazing
crazy
posts
things
and the stuff that's coming up where I'm just like, what are they doing?
What are they doing now?
And then, like I said, Sue, like maybe one day you'll have a show on the Discovery Channel.
Right there, people will be going, they did not do that, right? Oh yeah, they did, right?
That's so great. Well,
Fantastic.
thank
And
you.
you
I
have a
appreciate it
standing
so much.
invite,
I
of
love this.
course. Absolutely. Absolutely.